Unbeknownst to me, the booking agent was flyer illustrator, now world-famous tour promoter, gallery artist, and clothing mogul, Derek Hess, who booked the band solely out of personal interest between chopping chicken wings in the kitchen. An hour after the listed start time, the bands were still nowhere to be seen, so my friends and I began to lounge at the bar and wait. Before long, a well-dressed man with sunglasses wandered up, looking a little too excited about life. He thrust an oversized, glossy magazine at me and shouted over the house music, "It's by the editors of Ray Gun. That really cool zine? You know it?" I shook my head. I didn't know what a zine was, for that matter. I shooed him away. His style didn't jive with me or with Cleveland. He seemed disingenuous. Apparently looking like the easy marks that we were, a man with messy blonde hair wearing a thrift store t-shirt and bent glasses wandered up. "Want to buy my zine?" he asked, as if he didn't care either way. I casually took it from his hands, thumbing through it. "What's it about?" I asked him, somewhat reluctantly. He became a little more engaged. "It's got stuff about mullets, late-night bike rides, a comic about a carnivore fighting a cannibal, bands that I like, the history of AC/DC, shit like that. It's $1." He responded, looking me in the eye now. I handed him $1, and he let me keep the copy I was holding. The title was Summer, and the cover was adorned with a schizophrenic collage pasted and Xeroxed in a manner that was aesthetically unlike anything that I'd ever seen. Seconds later, yet another kid walked up. He was about my age, very short, had a huge afro, and a bigger smile. He had the enthusiasm of a carnival barker and an even simpler pitch. "Zine for $1?" After shelling out a whole $1 a minute prior, it was a deal. His zine was called Beckett Tapes. The next day at school, my friends and I obsessed over those 2 zines. They were clever, obnoxious, and sacrilegious. I read them each 2 or 3 times that day and talked about all of the articles with my friends. It became apparent that even in a sea of boredom and sterile literature, interesting things could still somehow exist and squeeze their way into the mix. It turned on a light in the dark recesses of my brain. The existence of these zines opened me up to just how vivid the myriad of possibilities in life were. Soon thereafter, I co-founded an underground newspaper in my high school, but my creative input into the education environment was apparently not appreciated. The paper was summarily banned, and any student caught with a copy was suspended. Still, Summer and Beckett Tapes remained major influences in my life. That same year, I was publishing my own zine. Within 3 more years, I founded a publishing company that I still own and manage independently over 20 years later. I don't remember anything about the bands at the Euclid Tavern on that fated night, but I still have those first zines. The editors were Beckett Warren and Jake Kelly. I paid attention to both of them as they evolved and matured. Jake is now a rugged painter, illustrator, and artist, with more interesting things to say than most people whose work is included in galleries. Beckett owns a gaming store in Cleveland and seems to have more political degrees and disagreeable opinions than most people I know. He was once arrested for shouting from his apartment balcony to a stranger below how excited he was about the mesh shorts that he was wearing. The stranger thought that he was a flasher and called the police. Unbeknownst and irrelevant to me, zines were all the rage in the mainstream at the time. They were getting written up in the hip teen mag Sassy, acknowledged on MTV, and talked about in advertising as a vital cultural touchstone of what was cool. Before long, Major publishers even tried to package and produce some awkward books about zines that flopped miserably.